video I'm going to show you how to get the border started. And we've got a charted pattern. Right side rows, wrong side rows, we'll be knitting back and forth. And here we've been knitting in the round on our shawl. I'm going to knit my border in a different color so that you can see what's going on, but on your actual shawl you could be continuing with your same yarn. In fact, on this shawl, the Berry Pie shawl, it's all in one color. So in the pattern it says that you want to have the right side facing you, and you want to start casting stitches on to the left needle, and you're going to put on 12 stitches. So I just got a slip knot there, and I'm going to use the knitted cast on, and I'm just going to knit up 12 new stitches including the slip knot. So that's 1, 2. The knitted cast on, you just go into the stitch that's right by the needle, pull up a stitch, a new loop, and then you put it like this backwards onto the left needle. So you're just knitting, and then you twist it and put it onto the left needle through the back. So if you've never done that before, this is a neat little cast on to try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 12, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, you don't have to hold the yarn needles like I do. This is the way I learned from my grandmother. You might tension your yarn differently with your left hand. You might carry the yarn in your right hand and throw, but all of that's the same. You're just knitting up stitches and then putting them onto that needle. So including the slip knot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we can start right here with the first row of the border. Okay, now I've got 12 new stitches on my left needle, and I'm going to knit row 1. It has 13 squares because it has 2 yarn overs here together for the double yarn over pattern. Only one of them has a decrease. So we're adding a stitch in row 1. We start with 12, but when we finish row 1, we have 13 stitches. So I'm going to knit that first stitch instead of slipping it, just because it's the very first row of the border. If you slip it, it doesn't matter. It won't make much difference. It's just a thing I like to do on the first row. So slip 1 or knit 1, then there's knit 2, then yarn over, knit 2 together, then knit 1, then yarn over, knit 2 together, then knit 4. So this is the first row. It's a right side row, and that last of the 4 stitches we knit goes into the slip knot, and now we turn because we knit the border back and forth. Now I found it a little struggle to be knitting with these 2 needles that has my shawl on it, so I like to knit switch and use a double point for knitting my wrong side rows. My wrong side rows are the rows where, of course, the wrong side of the knitting's showing. It's the even rows on the chart. And remember, we knit odd rows on the chart from right to left, and we knit it across those from right to left. Then we turn our knitting. We can't turn our chart around physically, so we metaphorically go back in the other direction on the chart. So we've just got knit 6, purl 1 because of the 2 yarn overs. You're used to that by now. If you're making this shawl, then knit 3, yarn over, knit 2 together, SSK. This is highlighted because that SSK is going to be the last stitch of the border and the first live stitch of your shawl. And by knitting this border and joining it every wrong side row, we're going to slowly use up all of those stitches. So this is sort of a really fancy bind off. Okay, so here we just are going to knit, purl, and do our little maneuvers at the end to make this little pattern. Okay, so I said knit 6, and that should bring us up to the purl that we need to make in the double yarn over. And indeed it does. And then we purl that second part of the double yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, knit 2 together, and now we have this SSK. So see, right now our border's not joined to the shawl, but we're going to join it by working that SSK. And that's that last live stitch of your shawl. in case I've changed yarns, then I tugged on it just to tighten it up. But if you're using the same yarn, that won't be an issue. Okay, and then we turn. Let's do 2 more rows and then you'll get the idea. So now we're up to row 3. We're going to slip one. So I slip it with the yarn in front and then I bring the yarn to the back. It's the way I always do these on the beginning of these rows where we're working away from the shawl towards the points on the border. So then I have knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together, and in this case then, after that, we just knit to the end. Knit, knit, knit. And there's only one more row I want to show you, just so you see how it's set up. Okay? So now I'll show you this row 4, which is just like row 2 was, except it doesn't have a purl because we didn't make any double yarn over. So we're just going to go knitting all the way up to the end. So that's 10, and then yarn over, knit 2 together, SSK. And you can see why it's a little bit easier to demo when I have these other colors, because you can see when I get to the end that I am in the right place to do the SSK because I'm up to the last stitch of the border and the first stitch of the shawl. So we do SSK. Okay, then we turn. Now we're ready to do another right side row, but I just want to show you what's happening. See how the shawl is this way and the border is going this way. So we're going to be knitting rows like this. And every time we come back on a wrong side row, we're going to join another stitch. So it'll be attached. When we get all the way back around, we'll just have a little seam to sew, and that will be the end of it. So get started, and I'm sure it will take you longer on your real shawl to get all the way around than it will take me on this sample.